Hey, thanks for coming on the show today, Mark. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I know we had a really good one before, and I think this will be a even better sequel. So, for the people who have not had the pleasure of meeting you, tell us real quick a little bit about who you are and who you represent.
Yeah, so Mark Miller. I'm coming to you from Flower Mound, Texas, north of Dallas. I am the president of the International Bowling Media Association. I am a writer for Bowlers Journal International, for International Bowling Media, or excuse me, for sometime soon, hopefully BCM. I used to work for USBC
Mhm.
for almost 25 years on the membership in the magazine side, corporate communications side, and then after they made some changes, then I went on to the other side, which is on the writer's side. So I've seen this from both what I do and what I'm doing is I've seen it from both ends, both from the
Mhm.
kind of the so-called dark side of PR and the so-called light side of journalistic side.
Right. Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about the organization that you're working with today. I hadn't heard of it before, but after learning a little bit about it, it seems like a pretty interesting organization.
Yeah, so your viewers and people may know it more so from its older names, the Bowling Writers Association of America, which did go back to I think it's 19, and then the National Women Bowling Writers went back to somewhere not too long after that. And so then what happened is as USBC merged in '05, we started to realize that just like with USBC, why did they have separate groups for men and women and all that stuff? Why did we need separate groups for men and women and stuff?
Right.
So the powers that be back in, I guess it was around early '05, '06, somewhere in that area, we said we need to merge our stuff. So we did initially under the BWAA name, the Bowling Writers Association of America name. And then I think it was about 10 years ago or so, we started to realize as the scope of media was changing already with online websites, podcasts, blogs, all that stuff. We realized we're not the old traditional writer in a magazine or a newspaper, and maybe a few here on TV and radio. So that's why we
Right.
changed from bowling writers to, and also we knew we weren't just the United States. We also, part of what we did is we joined with the World Bowling Writers back around that same time. And so we said, hey, we're international. We do media. We don't just do writing. So let's change our name to the more to what we are. And so that's where people may not know our current name, but I think a lot of people recognize the BWA and NWBW names are our
Mhm.
predecessors. And so we've carried forward with some of what they did, kept some of their awards, and then expanded and trying to reach a broader audience. That's the biggest thing. When you guys
Mhm.
contacted us, it was really fascinating because podcasts like this, we're not, a lot of us older guys are not that attuned to the kinds of things that BAM and you guys and others have. So that's what we're really trying to spread the word on and trying to get more awareness of us to the so called non traditional media.
Yeah, so I mean, largely what you guys do is it a matter of kind of publishing media in these different outlets or spreading, covering different events going on in bowling, or what are
Yeah.
some of the functions that you guys provide?
Yeah, most of those people who are, and I think when we talked the other day, the challenge we're running into now is that so when I started with the Bowling Congress in '85, there were about 60 weekly or monthly bowling newspapers all over the country. There
Hmm.
were just tons of, I don't even know the number, but tons of bowling writers who would be assigned to write about bowling weekly, bi-weekly, monthly at their local papers. I mean, in big papers,
Mm,
Chicago Tribune, Milwaukee Journal, Dallas Morning News, Los Angeles Times, and many
yeah.
others. Miami Herald, like Dick Evans and some of the old guys. I mean, these were icons of the industry, icons of the bowling writers, the ones who helped start this thing. But what's happened as throughout all these changes in the media and in the bowling world, a combination of we lost a lot of these folks to age, then media would dial back and they go, well, as their space got smaller, bowling was one of the things that maybe had to get cut from the normal rotation of okay, we're going to cover this. You had one of the things that really changed is the growth of girls sports in high school and women's sports in college, because now
Hmm.
that started taking up more of the limited space that say newspapers had. And so we got kind of cut out. We were one of the sports that kind of got cut out. And so there's really just less places today for our members to tell stories, because that's really all. I learned this from Tom Clark, who's the commissioner of the PBA, was my boss for 3 years at the USBC. Before that,
Hmm.
he was the bowling columnist at USA Today, and I worked with him on a number of things. He always used to talk about our job is to find compelling stories about the sport, the business, and everything, and find places to tell those stories. And what's
Right.
changed in the industry is that, and again, the old days, you told those stories through print for primarily, and now you tell stories through all sorts of things. Print is now one of many ways rather than maybe the primary way. That's the biggest difference. into me, my knowledge in terms of how our people tell our stories and where.
Mhm.
But now it can be in anything. It could be in a book. It can be again anything electronic, anything in the internet, anything whether it's voice, video, and that. So our challenge now is to find number one, identify places that are doing things like you guys do, but then also trying to identify places that maybe the young people coming up could aspire to. That's the other thing Tom used to always talk about is aspiration. We one of the things we like to do is tell stories of big name people like we did years ago. We had Deandra Asbeatty and Chris Barnes as our spokespeople for a lot of our programs at USBC, and initially Chris Paul for a while before he moved over to the PBA. The idea is to aspire to be these people. They love bowling. In Chris Paul's case, he's not. He's a basketball player who bowls well, but it's exciting. In the case of Deandra and Chris, they're lifelong top flight bowlers. Well, we want the girls and the boys to aspire to those things. And that's the
Sure.
thing that we try to do is to try and create stories that tell the story of bowling as a both as a recreation and a sport, and then something that hopefully people will kids will aspire to in hopefully a growing number and in a new way of telling those stories. So yeah, to get to your original answer, yeah, our goal is to be able to write about whatever. It can be amateurs, pros, college, high school, the business, bowling centers, trends. It can be on anything.
Hey, did you like this video? Great. We make 10 of them a week. Subscribe to learn more and keep learning about what's working in the industry. Talk to you then.